Yes, you do. All of y'all.
All right. Quick turnaround, obviously, with getting back late and then having to leave today. What's the challenge of the turnaround here? And it seems like it's going to be like that with doing it again for the next game and stuff.
Yeah, it's that time of year, and those are hard. Teams all over the country doing it, and it makes it hard when there's back-to-back road ones, and because standalone games on the road are hard enough, but when you compile them, but that's why you break it out and segment it out and what you do and how you attack it, and our guys do a good job of that. But we also have, it does make a difference, when you're able to charter, and when those things help. All those things matter over the course of a year.
How much better is Wyoming than maybe the numbers show?
It is. It's crazy how much better they are. I mean, especially you look at two of their home league games. There was a controversial call or no call at the end of that Mexico game that they probably win that. Not probably, they win that, and they were right there with San Diego State. I mean, those are two of the hottest teams, best teams, and they were right there with them. So there's not one chance we're underestimating them or looking at their record or anything like that. Or that we know that this is, you got to go play a A+ game or an A game and to be competitive.
We've talked a lot about the challenge in the Mountain West this year, with all the teams are much better than they have been in the past, and how that's difficult. But is there an excitement with that you get to play all these tough matchups and have these opportunities to?
Yeah. The opportunities are the key word, and because it's always been. I mean, everywhere you've gone in the Mountain West, and I think now the numbers are just giving it the proper respect of what it really is. The number at UNLV, the number at Utah State, the number at Nevada and New Mexico, and on and on and on. San Diego State, obviously, but I think they've always gotten that respect a little bit more. So the numbers are helping you have these opportunities, but they were always the same as far as going to get a road win in the Mountain is one of the hardest things to do. So I think the work that all of us did in the preseason, the schedules that we hammered out to get those numbers, it's paying dividends in that way, no doubt.
I think Hunter Maldonado has been in Wyoming almost as long as you've been here. What makes him?
Yeah, he played with Saylor, and the two of them got together and came up with a jump shot, I think. Yeah, I know it's this COVID era player thing is weird. It's because when you have a player like Maldo that played as a freshman and has played in so many meaningful games and so many meaningful minutes, and you always feel like those guys have been there forever. Well, now you add this extra stuff and the bending of time. It feels like he has been there for as long as I've been here at Boise.
Was it the same for somebody? I mean, Max would be in the same boat.
Yeah.
With being there, where you see one kid stay forever in this year in the transfer portal, and then the other kids might play for 4 teams in their time.
I know that's crazy, but I think actually I was talking with a good friend of mine who coaches, and we were just talking about how that's why in the old days you used to say, well, how you beat a really good team, a team of McDonald's All-Americans or top 30 recruits, or is you have a team of juniors and seniors that have been veterans. Well, now there's so many teams. I mean, you just everywhere you look, you're like, well, they got this team has 4,000 point scorers. This team has all these guys. And that's why you're seeing so much parity in college basketball, because some of the quote unquote blue bloods that are getting those top 30 recruits, they're playing with 18 and 19-year-olds. Heck, they're talented and they're really good, but those 22, 23, 24, and in some cases 25 and above they become really, really good teams and really, really good players. So a lot of, you can spin the wheel, land on a team, and you're like, well, look at they got a 23-year-old veteran, and I think that's what you see in Wyoming. You got some veterans that have been there a long time and have played in a lot of meaningful minutes.
pickups, getting 6 blocks in a game. Where does that rank on your Naj being Naj, exceeding expectations?
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, he's one of those guys that can impact a game in so many ways. And I didn't think he had a particularly great game for Naj. And he and I've discussed that a little bit, and because his role's changed, he's a starter, he's a dude, he's got to be one of the better players night in and night out. So you expect a lot out of him, but he can still go out and impact in ways that you're like, wow. I mean, because you look at us and we're not that physically imposing with our starting lineup like we were last year, but when you look at our rim protection, well, you got 6 blocks out of him, you got a couple out of the bigs, you got Tyson taking charges, and it's a deceptive. It may not look like you can just go in there and you're going to get some resistance, but you do get more than maybe we look when we're warming up.
How much is your non-conference schedule? I mean, you played one of the toughest ones in the conference. Helped you? I mean, I know you talked a little about A&M being similar to UNLV.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody else being similar to Utah State, a team that likes
Sure.
to shoot a lot of threes. Do you schedule with that eye? And
Yeah, you do.
Has it helped you?
It definitely helped us in the last game because, like you just said, A&M probably prepared us in a way that you can't simulate in practice. Those guys believed us when we told them it's going to be hard to hang on to the ball because they played against A&M. Same kind of, as far as forced turnovers, athleticism, speeding you up, making you take shots on their terms. And, we had some possessions where they made us do that, in the first half. And then we settled into, but that's where that experience of playing those games help, and playing, in front of a crowd like we did at St. Louis. Those things are all, they make you better, and it's tough to do, but it does make you better as a team. And when you look at, now that the dust is starting to settle, look at how many quad 1, quad 2 opportunities we've had. More than, I think we have the most in the conference, right? Yeah.
With
So.
Tyson last game, he's the first guy in your tenure with 15 plus points, 10 plus rebounds, 5 plus assists, 0 turnovers in a game. How impressive is that stat line, or what stands out to you about that stat line? Just shutting off, don't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah. Tyson just, you never want to take a guy for granted because, but man, you're right. That when you looked, you knew he played well, and you knew he was doing great things out there. And I didn't take him out the second half, and so he's fighting fatigue, fighting all the things he has to fight, and to go do that, in a game like that it's so impressive. I mean, he's just getting better and better and better, and you got to remember he's only a sophomore. That's what's exciting for me is, I've looked out there, in the Utah State game, I had 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores out there one time. I'm like, wow, I didn't think we'd be surviving doing that. But, he's a guy that got a lot of experience as a freshman, and that's paying dividends now.
Where have you seen Jace improve the most over, say, like the last month?
Just getting more comfortable with the speed of the game, and being able to handle himself against UNLV. That's impressive because they tried to get after him in the first half. He had a couple turnovers and maybe one, and he adjusted. So just being able to adjust to college game as quickly as he has been impressive. But that, again, that's his maturity and his toughness.
What is it about playing in Laramie that you guys have had some battles up there over the years, and what is it about just even where you say maybe they're missing guys, whatever, it seems like any team that goes up there, it's not an easy game.
Right. Well, historically, no doubt, it's one of the. I mean, the altitude is real. It's. I mean,
I've had to walk up the steps.
Yeah, you try doing a treadmill workout at 7,000 feet when you're not used to it, or when you're not. If you're not in great shape, it's even harder. But we've got. I mean, there's. They put that video up where you can die and try to convince you of all that, and So you're dealing with some things that you got to prepare for and you got to understand. And so that creates a challenge. And then there've been good teams and they got good coaches. They know how to take advantage of that. I mean, think of the history of that school. It's had some great coaches. And starting when I was here with Larry Shyatt, I mean, those teams were top 25.
You talked about the speed of the game with Jason. He said that Marcus has helped him kind of develop in that area. How have you seen Marcus be that leader, and not only Jason but also the rest of the team?
Well, the leaders I have this year are a little bit different in the way that they're a little more subtle, a little quieter. Sometimes I have to prod them a little bit more. You know, they're like Abu was one of the most vocal leaders I've ever had, and now I've gone to maybe 3 of the quietest leaders I've ever had. But they're still leaders, and it doesn't mean they're not effective. So sometimes it's a little more behind the scene and just kind of showing them, here's how you become a pro, the way you act, the way you train, the way you do all those things, and those guys are a good example for him. I do that a lot too.
He's been shooting at an insane clip lately. In the last 8 games, he's over 52%. What does he do for your offense when he's shooting it that well?
Well, we've got good pieces that all work together, and they all don't care about who gets the credit. They all don't care about where the ball goes. They just want the ball to go where it goes to help us win, and that's Buzo and that's Max. It's all of them, and that's what makes our team good. But he brings a skill set that, when you got him and Max on the wings, there's not a lot of places you can help from, and you can't help from Tyson, you can't help from Shea. All those guys, you can all knock it down and Naj. So it just spreads the floor and gives you a little more clarity in your offense.
Wyoming's dealt with a lot of injuries and illness. How difficult is the scout then?
Yeah, it is. And Linder's, he's a mad scientist. He's going to tinker with stuff all the time, and that's what he's kept him in these games. And I'm sure we'll see some things maybe we haven't seen yet.
How's Marcus doing?
I think good. Yeah. I'd like him to get to great as far as health-wise, but he just throws his body around so much and so aggressive that there's a tendency to have some bangs and bruises.
Is he learning to manage? I mean, it just feels like he's kind of always in this situation, I guess.
Well, I think Marcus, yeah, he is, because guys like him, I think I told our trainers, he's a Maserati. And those things go fast, and when one little bolt comes undone, there's can be problems. Like Max is like an old pickup truck that you're just going to get in and the door creaks but you can drive it every day, I think. And with the Maserati, man, you got to get it to an expensive dealer and take it down to Ryan Gee's place and have him fix it, and because there's just some bodies are like that, and I've coached guys like that before, but we got to keep that thing tuned up, because when the Maserati can go, it can really go. Max is an old pickup truck that says